Hello everybody, welcome to Tarot and a Movie, the series where I pick a movie that I haven't seen, ask Tarot, what happens in the movie, cast a spread, see what happens. So this week I've chosen Prey, and I've always been a big fan of the Predator series, and there aren't too many situations where you're going to ask Tarot about extraterrestrials or situations quite like this. So I am very excited to find out what's going to happen in this. So when you do this, as always, we just start with the trailer. So I'm just playing that here. Oh.
Because you all think that I can't.
And obviously I'm not going to make us sit through the entire thing, but just to give you an idea, this is what we're going to do. When you do this on your own, you can watch a trailer. If you don't have a trailer, you can read just like the little blurb, but not the synopsis, right? Because that'll just give it away, and then it won't be very fun. So what you do before you cast your spread is get a little bit of information. Hopefully no one spoiled too many things for you by this point. And by the way, if you haven't seen this yet, you'll probably not want to watch much further, because later on I'm probably going to spoil the heck out of it for you. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop recording, I'm going to shuffle, and then I'm going to come back and put the spread up on screen. Alright, I'll see you in a few. Okay, I'm back, and I cast the spread, so now I'm just going to put it up here for us to go through. And I haven't analyzed it yet, I just put it down. I'm trying not to think too much about it so we can do a bit of that live. So the first card, those are Six of Pentacles. The next one, what's this one? I keep looking back at my table. I found it was easier to not cast and record that. I thought it'd be good for authenticity, but it turned out to be a real pain in the butt when it came to trying to record things and edit it right. And I'm still not good at it, as you can tell. That much is clear, but I'm trying, and I'll probably get better, hopefully, if I keep this up. Okay, so if you've seen this movie, some of this might make sense to you already. Hang in there with me for a sec while I get all of them in their right positions. I'm going to make these a little bit smaller now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I got 7 across, good. And down here we're going to pull up the Hanged Man, but Hanged Man is reversed. Already we're getting some pretty interesting things. This one is reversed. 9 of Wands. So many conflict and defensive cards. So definitely cards of hunters. And I mean, you didn't have to watch the movie to understand what it's about, because it's part of a franchise, right? So it's kind of like a well duh kind of thing. Okay, next is Knight of Swords. That checks out. We got the Moon. Oh yeah, big time. Cups, 10 of Cups. Yep. And then this one is going to make absolute sense. Ooh, bring it all the way down here. Reverse that. Come up here. Page of Swords is next, and it's also reversed. And we've got Queen of Cups, and she is reversed. And we got 5 of Wands, also reversed. One thing you'll notice as you do this kind of spread is the more reversals, if they dominate your spread, we're talking about someone who's reacting to something. So it's not necessarily a plot driven by the main character, it's them reacting. And when you do this for yourself, if you have a lot of reversals in your weekly spread, we're also looking at things that you're reacting to as opposed to initiating on your own. And obviously there are exceptions, but that just seems to be what... Okay, oh, our King of Wands here in reversal. All, this column here is very interesting. And then finally, from the bottom of the deck, we drew a card, and this one is, it's actually one of the examples of where tarot likes to make jokes, right? Like, it definitely has a sense of humor as well. And when I say it, although tarot is obviously a third party and it's influenced by things that are beyond you, it's still you that's doing the driving. So subconsciously, I thought this must have been pretty cute, because this card, this King of Pentacles, is drawn from the bottom of the deck. So it represents kind of like the hidden aspect. And if you are familiar at all with Predator movies, again, heavy on the spoilers here, so turn back now if you haven't seen it, or any of them. The Predator aliens are I think, unfairly, I'll get to that in a bit, but like, they conceal themselves. Like, they have invisibility technology, and they make, all kinds of cunning methods to capture their prey. So this King of Pentacles, when he's reversed, even if he was upright, less so maybe, but in his reversal, I can definitely see how we're looking at someone who is difficult to find, who melts into the background, and all you can see is kind of the surroundings. You don't see the figure within. So that is definitely who we're talking about here. So first impressions so far, we have lots of swords, we got lots of wands. We do have pentacles, which is interesting, but the pentacles that we have are actually less about things. And I know pentacles, if you're a reader or if you're familiar at all, it's kind of like, oh, hey, this is the earthly realm, and that's what we're talking about, things and money, those material goods, right? Earthly things. But this Six of Pentacles to me has come to mean much more. It's more about power than anything. It's about the giving and receiving. And sometimes it's also about the failings of human nature, because sixes are very magical numbers. And I can't remember who told me this, but apparently, someone thought that the suit should end at 6, and I'm gonna have to fact check that for sure, because it's up until now, don't take that as work, but I have heard that because 6 is kind of like the perfect number, it's the point at which all it's a path of it's a point of convergence, rather, that it is that essence of beauty, right? If we're talking on a Kabbalistic level, then yeah. I'm gonna try and stop rambling. Gosh, this is what happens when I don't put a script together. It's a lot of uhs. Okay, so this one, so without question, so let's look at cards of destruction, or, traditionally not good. So I would say this one's a big one for sure. So 10s are our completion. We are most likely, and again, I haven't seen it yet, but we're definitely going to see some carnage, because that is what these type of movies are all about. The Star, when the Star card comes up, it's time for us to look at the stars, and guess what? He's an alien. But you can also use this card to signal that you should look at astrological influences if they're there, because that's kind of like a clue card. Okay. So Devil, I'm wondering if there's some sort of prisoner aspect, because again, the cards can be figurative and they can also be literal. And when they're describing a movie that's a visual medium, we can actually see more of the literal. So there's going to be visual things that come from the cards that we'll also see when we watch the movie. Ace of Swords reversed. This one going down into the moon, down into the King of Wands. This is going to be some kind of fight, or a major confrontation, like something fearful, something happening at night. This is extreme. This is a figure, a person. I don't know who it's going to be, but maybe a character is going to be very violent. I mean, that again goes without saying, because it's a Predator movie. Like, what do you want? We have 5, so clearly a struggle. I'm getting like an outcast kind of, trying to prove oneself kind of feeling. So I don't know, maybe that'll come through. Anyway, I'm gonna stop just humming and hawing into the mic, and I'm going to go and watch the movie, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to see what was right or if I missed the mark completely. All right, I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so I just finished watching the movie, and it's time to figure out if I was right or wrong. All right, let's start with our first two cards. These are always the first two most important cards in the spread. They kick it off. So with the Six of Pentacles, this is really about power. So I kind of saw this more as a collection of trophies, how one demonstrates their power. So earlier in the movie, Tabe brings back the lion's head and receives praise and honor in his community. At the end, Naru brings the predator's head back to the community, and the predator itself uses its power to claim trophies through the act of killing, and that's secondary to the item. And that works with the Ten of Swords here because, for once, the Ten of Swords implies violence and murder. And it doesn't usually, obviously, in your day-to-day readings. But in this case, that's what it's reflecting. Okay, so the star is talking about, highly gifted soul, trying to be their authentic self. Naru doesn't really feel like she fits into the structure of the community that she belongs to. She wants to be more. She wants to be a hunter, and she's really good, right? So the star also talks about searching for something, and that is definitely something that Naru does, because she's the one that has the instinct to say, hey, there's something really strange going on here. We better check it out. Everyone else is like, no, we got it. It was a lie, blah, blah, blah. She's like, no, there's something else. Like, come on. So she is embodied by the star there. Nine of Cups is telling us about, waiting for information to be revealed. That's something that a hunter definitely does. She waits and watches. Going back down here to the Hanged Man reversed. So there's the idea of a Pyrrhic victory. That's where, even though they win by defeating the predator, there's also a major loss, and she loses her brother. So it's a win and it's a loss. And we also see that here with the Five of Cups. Just checking. I made a couple notes. Okay, so the Four of Pentacles, that's about being vulnerable. And Naru tries to find what makes the predator vulnerable. She manages to take their helm or mask. We kind of see the figure here clutching something very valuable, and she managed to get it. She's tested many times, and each time she is tested, she goes back to danger, determined to prevail. Every time she prepares more and more. So that's how these two cards kind of work together. The Five of Cups reversed in our center card. So this is the heart of the matter. It's kind of like the essence. And we see someone coming through the other side of a struggle with victory, but also painful losses. So just like we were talking about with the Hanged Man there, definitely victory, but also defeat in a lot of ways. But we do find some final resolution because she kills the predator. So it's definitely not going to be... is it dead or is it not dead? It's definitely dead because she took off its head. Five of Wands down here talks about an intense conflict. That is for sure. Back up here to the Devil. This time the Devil's showing us actual bondage. So you see chains and whatnot, and chains were visually relevant because there were traps set out by the trappers that played a part in the movie. That's how she figured out that if you're not a threat, it doesn't want you. Later on, her and her brother are captured by the French trappers, and they're both chained or bound to a post as bait. They want to draw out the big scary monster. So that's definitely where we're seeing the devil show itself in a literal sense. And then figuratively, obviously, it's that shadow threat, that fearful thing hiding in the shadows. We could take that away from it as well. Coming down here to the Knight of Swords, the warriors are definitely shoot first, ask questions later types. A lot of intense, fast movement toward danger. It also implies being chased or pursued. So that one's pretty obvious. Eight of Cups, so Naru's always taking off or escaping something. So her window of time to act is always very short, and she usually gets by with kind of like the skin of her teeth. That's typical action movie device. So that makes sense, especially connected to the Knight of Swords like that. Over here, Ace of Swords reversed, we've got a disturbance in the force. We also have manipulation. The Predator definitely makes use of that. Coming down to the moon, so it's the shadow side. Also, if you remember Sarli, that's her dog, tried to distract the Predator. After it revealed itself, it was barking at it. And this almost looks a little bit like a mask the moon is wearing. So that's another little visual reflection from the moon there. Also taking place at night, that makes sense too. So King of Wands is definitely our intense violence element. So though, we got someone who's super violent, talks with their body, goal-oriented. All the swords that surround it implies danger for sure. This is an important takeaway. If you read for someone and they have the King of Wands reversed, they have a lot of swords, and it sounds like this is a person, that's a bad situation that they're in. So be real careful about how you talk about that with them. Up here, Ace of Pentacles. So this is redirecting energy. Ultimately, that is how Naru defeats the Predator. She directs the energy from its helm against it. So that is literally like reshaping, moving energy. 10 of Cups. So usually, we want to see this as a happy ending, but in this case, it isn't, because Naru's removed a threat. They took care of this Predator that was stalking, probably only a matter of time before it made its way to the community where they lived. So at the end of the movie, we have a preservation of the community, so that's good, but we also have a shattering of a family, and that's awful. But sometimes those stories are just like that, right? And good thing it's a story, right? And finally, our last card in the spread, Four Swords reversed. And this one actually is very much a summary of some of the themes of the movie. So one of the meanings, falling on one's own sword. Well, okay, so the Predator, in its hubris and its arrogance, I guess didn't anticipate that a human would figure out how to kill it, and it ends up killing itself. So there's that. Naru is not very respected in her community, just because she kind of bucks her assigned roles in society and kind of goes her own way, gets mocked a lot by the other warriors who think she's a joke. She just wants acceptance. She feels anxious and disturbed by what's happening in the world. So kind of like the Ace of Swords, there's something weird going on. She can tell, she feels it. Narrowly avoiding death. That is a meaning for this card, and that happened. Needing to take a rest, or needing to not take a rest. I know that, how can a card mean two things, but that's just the tarot for you sometimes. And finally, it also can mean being deceived. And the Predator does a great job of trying to... And I mean, deception is really important in hunting, right? You want to set traps. You want to conceal yourself. Deception is not just a tool of manipulation. It's a tool of survival. And survival is definitely the name of the game in Prey. So there we have it. There is the movie Prey, as told by tarot, as cast by me. If you go and do this yourself, I would be really interested to see what cards come up for you when you ask, because no matter what, as long as you trust tarot, it's definitely going to give you back the cards that are relevant, that are important, that are going to tell the story. So if you have anything to add, please leave it in the comment section below. If you want to see what happens when I try to do other movies in the future, maybe consider subscribing. That'd be cool. A more detailed rundown of how to do this kind of spread is on my Patreon. So if you have access to that, you can get access to all my meanings that I've collected over the years, and some other cool, tools to make your reading life a little bit more enriched. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.